Hi there. This is Josh from TA from Geology 102. I just wanted to post a video about what you can expect from the test. I wanted to go over a few questions so you can kind of get an idea of what you should be looking for, and it might help you to study for these exams. All three of them are similar. The fourth one is a little bit more if you have to take it, but that is optional if you do well enough and you are satisfied with the grade you have after the three tests. The three tests are the only grades in the class, so they all carry a weight of 33.3%, totaling to 100. So each of these tests matters quite extensively. Let's say out of those three tests you average a C plus, but you wanted to see if you could possibly get a B. You would just take the fourth test, and then you would be out of four tests because he doesn't exclude any. If you want to eliminate a test, you have to do so before you actually finish the test. That's to say that if you take the exam and decide that, and you know that you didn't do very well on it, you could say do not grade, and we won't grade it. But the only catch there is that you have to complete the other three tests. You have to have a total of 3 tests by the end of the semester. Otherwise, you'll get a 0 on one of the tests, and that'll bring your grade down to a 67% at best. So make sure to pay attention to that. So if you are going to take the test for test 1, I'm going to run through a few questions to kind of guide your studying, hopefully. So just give me a few minutes here. Okay, so our first question is shown. Which of the following statements about the Earth is false? Notice that false is in capitals. I pointed out because that's the word to look for, but it's not going to be read on the test. And then you have 5 answers associated with the question. And those 5 answers are new oceanic lithosphere. Remember, we're asking for which of the statements about the Earth is false. New oceanic lithosphere is formed beneath linear oceanic ridges and is destroyed along deep sea trenches. Earth's history involves both cyclical and unidirectional changes in the physical and biological components of the Earth system. Relative ages of rocks can be determined by the principles of original horizontality, superposition, and original lateral continuity. Number 4, the principles of actualism asserts that the laws of nature have regularly changed over geologic time, allowing the dating of the geologic events. Or 5, intrusive relationships and inclusions can indicate relative age. So let's go through these answers. There's a lot of terminology here, and sometimes that can, wrap your mind around a confusing subject, or confuse your mind around a simplistic subject. So let's go through the first answer. New oceanic lithosphere is formed beneath linear oceanic ridges and is destroyed along deep sea trenches. Is this true? Well, we have the mid-Atlantic ridge, which is a portion where the new Earth is made, and the continents are spreading outward from it. And the deep sea trenches are where plates are colliding, and when you have plates that collide, you have either trenches or you have mountains. So that would be true. It would be destroyed along deep sea trenches. So we can't use that answer. Second answer, Earth's history involves both cyclical and unidirectional changes in the physical and biological components of the Earth system. Well, let's look at that. Cyclical means it happens again and again, or in a pattern. And unidirectional means it happens in one direction, it doesn't go backwards. We can think of the evolutionary trees as unidirectional. Obviously, the animals we have today are not going to go back to being the animals that they were millions and millions of years ago. Sorry to say for Jurassic Park fans, but those dinosaurs will not be back. And the cyclical changes are, sea levels that go in and out, and then seasons. You have that as well. You also have Milankovitch cycles, which dictate where the axis of the Earth points at in relation to the orbit. So that is true. And as you can see, what I'm doing here is I'm kind of microanalyzing each answer. I'm kind of, I'm doing the long version. Obviously, it's going to be faster in your mind. But that's kind of what you have to do with each question, and then I'll analyze each answer, because you're essentially being asked if each answer is true or false, and you have to determine that. So let's go on to number 3. Relative ages of rocks can be determined by the principles of original horizontality, superposition, and original lateral continuity. If you've taken 101 and 103, you should know this answer right off the bat. The relative ages of rocks are determined this way because you have original horizontality, where units that are tilted were originally deposited flat. You have law of superposition, the principle of superposition, where older rocks are lower in the strata and younger rocks are above. And original lateral continuity means that if you have a layer put down and then part of it gets eroded away, you would see, this is evident in the Grand Canyon, you would see that continuity, that it would be on the other side of where it got eroded at. The Grand Canyon is the most prolific example of this in Arizona, so if you get a chance, you can go check that out. The principle of actualism asserts, this is answer number 4, the principle of actualism asserts that the laws of nature have regularly changed over geologic time, allowing the dating of the geologic events. Well, does this answer make sense? Because if the laws of nature change, how can we use the same principles? We couldn't. So the laws of nature couldn't have changed, because it's assumed when we use our principles to do the dating of the geologic events. If laws of nature were different, then our methods of collecting data have to be different. So that's a double check. Let's go and look at number 5. Intrusive relationships and inclusions can indicate relative age. Well, like I said, if you've taken 101 or 103, this should be pretty quick to you, because it correlates with the third answer of relative age principles. So in this answer, D would be the correct answer because it's false. The principle of actualism does not assert that the laws of nature have regularly changed. Let's go to question number 2. Which of the following statements about invertebrates is false? This is going to be a little less systematic than previous question, when we have to kind of understand why. This is just kind of understanding the shallow marine life and the invertebrates that were on this planet earlier on. So let's examine the 5 answers. Trilobites were a form of arthropod. Brachiopods, second answer. Brachiopods are the most conspicuous fossils in Paleozoic rocks. Corals are cnidarians, and are among the simplest animals with tissues. Bryozoans are a form of segmented worm. That would be the fourth answer. And then graptolites are an extinct group of colonial marine organisms with an important fossil record. So this is actually kind of asked in your chapter of diversity of life. And the question I'm looking at, what are the major invertebrate groups of animals? This is kind of what it's asking. It's asking you about the groups of invertebrates. So going through that in the chapter summary, I'm in chapter 3 in the older edition. When I go through the chapter summary at the end of the thing, the chapter, it gives me the answer. And so I go through, and if I can notate down and kind of segment it instead of reading one long paragraph, maybe draw a chart to kind of help you. That would help you discover that out of these 5 answers, the bryozoans are not a form of segmented worm. So that answer would be false. But that would be the correct answer that we're looking for. And now we can go to, some will be more simplistic like this. Which of the following sedimentary deposits reflect unusually cold environmental conditions? And when we say unusually cold, keep that in mind. And our 5 answers are this: tillites, tempestites, playa lakes, alluvial fans, or carbonate platforms. Which of the following sedimentary deposits reflect cold environmental conditions? Let's start from the ground up. Carbonate platforms. Where's carbonate formed? Is it in a cold environment? What about alluvial fans? And this is a question that you'll find in your chapter on sedimentary environments, which I believe is chapter chapter 5 in my book. So where would alluvial fans form? That would be a question you can ask yourself. Playa lakes. What are playa lakes? Playa takes its root from, it's actually a Spanish word for beach. Do we find beaches in colder weather? We probably do, but not where lakes are going to form. Then there's tempestites. What's a tempestite? Tempestite is a rock that shows that a very heavy rain has occurred, and then that's recorded in the geologic, and that's recorded in the rock when it gets lithified. Or tillites. If you maybe form with the word glacial till, then it might tip you off. So in a way, you're kind of using the chapters, and you're also using what you may already know to correlate that kind of information. So not all of them are going to be what's asking what's false. Sometimes you might just be, which is it? But most of the questions are going to be based on the chapter summaries. So it's important to go through there and, draw it out. Don't just write a paragraph. Maybe write some charts. Maybe segment some definitions. And one thing to keep in mind, try to work on what you are struggling with. Start there, because the test is, while it covers the chapters, and it covers them pretty equally. So you have to know, with the 7 chapters, you have to know what's in there because it's distributed pretty equally throughout the test. And if you have any questions, you can always email me. When it comes to test week, I usually respond right away within reasonable time. I obviously have to sleep, so but don't wait till the last minute. If you have a question, just ask it. There's no dumb questions. You can't be afraid to ask a question if you want the answer. So with that, I wish you good luck in your studying, and good luck on a Friday and in all future exams. And have a good evening.